you can do a lot more. You might even edit the photo in Photos. All right. So here's the outline of my talk. On the left-hand side, my left and your left, I guess, would be navigating the Photos interface, collections and how they work, how you filter your items, and you can have different kinds of items, which is really amazing itself. Using the info panel, identifying content in images, which Apple does for you automatically, editing a photo, organizing photos into albums within folders. So I think folders is something that not everyone uses, but I've organized all of my albums into folders, and I'll show you that. Then on the right, we have defining smart albums, managing duplicates, searching your photo library, importing files into Photos, syncing with iCloud photos, very important. And finally, you want to share your photos with your friends, your family. How many of you take pictures of your grandkids? And you share them around. And so it's very important to be able to share on social media. So I'm going to talk about all of these topics. And we'll take breaks along the way so that we can answer questions that may come up. All right, so please hold your questions, put them in the chat for Jonathan, and he's going to be the moderator for the questions. So here is the Photos interface basically on all of your devices. The left-hand side here, let me see, I did have a tool, I don't remember what it was, that allowed me to show my mouse, but I don't seem to have it right now. But here is Photos open. So you have your entire library. You can organize it by years, months. Let me make this full screen. And all photos. So I have about 30,000 photos in my photo library. Some of you may have more. So this is the easy way to organize it by years. Then if you double click on a year, like 2025, you'll see the various photos within 2025. And this is my library. So you could actually go uh, uh, kind of go along with this in your own libraries. All right. Now here we have our favorites. So we've designated these as favorites, and you can do that. Um, so what is this telling us? Here's an image, which is both a JPEG and RAW image that I took in Santa Fe, New Mexico. All right. I press escape, I go out of it. Recently added are recently saved. So quite a few of them have been recently saved. And another view is the map view, where you can see where you've taken your photographs on a map. And here I've never been to Turks and Caicos. I wish I could go there. But these are pictures sent to me by my friend Danny and his wife at Turks and Caicos. So that's kind of interesting, going back to the map view. So you can zoom in, and this will begin to be more refined. It says I've taken some pictures in Los Angeles and Monterey. I took some pictures up here in Oakland, and it gets refined even more as we go on the map. So that's a very nice way to discover photos because you may have forgotten about them. All right. And we'll talk about these collections shortly. So that's the photo interface. We have collections, which will see days, people and pets, memories, trips, featured photos. These are done for you automatically by Apple. And so we'll look at them shortly. We have other collections like utilities, media types, albums, and projects. Um, I haven't really played around with projects, but what it does when you want to do a project like a book, it will send you to the App Store where you can download an app that will help you create a book. So you could have projects in that folder. And so I just gave you a short demo, but let me show you what the interface will be like uh, on the iPad. What do you know? It's the same interface. Although there is one thing here called wallpaper suggestions, which you don't get on the Mac. So you'll find that both on the iPhone and the iPad. If you have enough photos, it will actually suggest wallpapers for your iPhone or for your iPad. And you can just try them out, right? Uh, we have here pinned collections, the favorites, recently saved, the map, and it will tell you videos, screenshots, selfies, panoramas. It has organized these into what are called, these collections are smart folders. And you can also define, we'll show you how you can define a smart folder on your own, but these are built into the Photos app. And every time you take a new picture, Photos will say, well, when you favorite a new picture, it will appear in your favorites um, folder. And here we have the albums. So what I've done is I've highlighted albums, and on the right-hand side, you have personal shared activity on the top. And what I have done since I use folders, it's telling me the art exhibits has 5 folders. Family events has three folders, and there are albums within that folder. All right, so I've organized them in as folders. Here are utilities. Um, So this is true also for the Mac. You have the favorites, the hidden folders, recently deleted. So you have to type your password if you want to see those. All right. So not just anybody who gets your phone can actually see what is hidden or recently deleted. Duplicates. We'll talk about duplicates. It's very important because many times you'll have duplicate uh, photos in your album. And you may want to get rid of duplicates, and there's an intelligent way to do that, and I'll show you that. Uh, you can store receipts in the Photos app. It will recognize handwriting, illustrations, QR codes, recently saved, recently viewed, recently edited, recently shared. So these are all utilities within the utilities folder. Here are media types. It knows about videos. It knows about selfies, live photos, portraits, panoramas, time lapse, slow motion, cinematic, bursts, screenshots, screen recordings, spatial. If you have the Vision Pro, you can actually record spatial photo or take spatial photographs on the iPhone, at least the newer iPhones. If you have animated or raw, a lot of people like to shoot photos in raw. And so they will appear in that particular smart album called RAW. Here are wallpaper suggestions to give you an idea of the kind of wallpapers might be suggested based on your own photos. All right. And what I did here is I essentially took snapshots of the interface, which is one big scroll on uh, the iPhone. So I'm not going to really give a demo of the iPad or the iPhone. I'm going to stick to the Mac. But um, most of the things that I show you for the Mac also translate to both the iOS devices. So let's look at the collections view. I think this is really neat, and it's a way to discover photos you might otherwise miss. So what I have here, um, I just happened to click on uh, people and pets. So it has a category called pets. So it knows if you have a dog or a cat, it will um, do that. And you can create based on the people in um, your albums, you can actually create your own group, which is rather interesting. And I'll give you a demo of that. So it knows about days of the week, which is really interesting. So every day it'll show you the photos that you've taken that day. Just talked about people and pets, memories, trips, and featured photos. So these are all collections that are built right into photos. Within albums, you have control of the albums you create. Uh, we have media types, utilities, and projects on the Mac only. And shared albums, because we can share an album with other people, we'll show that. And the wallpaper suggestions are on iOS devices and not on the Mac. All right. You can browse your collections and customize them. And what happens is that the collection, say of memories, I have memories here. So this is fall of 2021, and there are 21 photographs there. Um, but it's a curated selection of photos. And so down here in the at the bottom, you see that there's a summary of 21, but you can actually see all of the 75 photos that go into that collection. All right, so you have control over that. All right. Filtering your items, you can filter by. This is kind of superfluous. On the left-hand side is just text. On the right-hand side is an image of what you can do. You can filter by all items, by your favorites, by the photos you've edited, by all your photos, all your videos, or all your screenshots. And there's a keyword manager, so you can actually assign keywords to your photos. And I'll give you an example later on how that's done. All right. The info panel. This is quite interesting. Um, I'm going to minimize this screen if I can. Well, anyway, um, let's just stick with the.
Larry,
So,
may I
yeah,
interrupt for a moment?
sure.
Yeah, only that Jeff put in the ch chat about the iPhone interface, and it might be good to talk about that briefly.
Okay. Well, what is the question?
Jeff asks whether you find the new interface on the iPhone confusing, and he says, have you reverted any of it? He said, I've grown to like it, but some of my family was not happy.
Um, I like it. I like it because I'm giving a presentation on it, and so I've learned it quite well. Um, there are some videos on YouTube as to how to go back and get rid of all these things, but I'm not discussing that, and I'm not going to talk about that. But you can search for it on YouTube. I'm using as my reference the Take Control book on photos, and I found that to be very interesting. Although it may be a little bit dated, but it's relatively new. So I would encourage you, if you want to learn more about it at your own pace, this might be a good way to do it. So let's look at this. This is the info panel for a photo that I took in Montauk. So in terms of the info, I typed in the Lighthouse Commission by George Washington. Um, Photos classified it as a landmark, and it was taken on Wednesday, the 27th of November, 2024, precisely at 4:42 p.m. with an iPhone 16 Pro, and it even gives me the ISO, what magnification I use, etc. And it gives me a map. It shows me um, where it is on the map, and it's called Montauk Point State Park, which you can adjust, and you can also show it at all photos. So that's kind of interesting. But look at the bottom. It says if you have that icon with the eye and a star, it means that Apple has actually uh, found some information about the lighthouse. And if you click on right below the wreath, if you click on that little icon, it will actually bring up that um, that information. So the bottom bullet point there is that the icon indicates that additional information is available, including Wikipedia information of the image. I think I may have that in my next slide. Let's see. So yes, Apple Intelligence, and probably this was done before introduced Apple Intelligence, identifies the content in an image. So in this case, if I when I click on the Montauk icon there, I find from Wikipedia that the Montauk Point Light or Montauk Point Lighthouse is a lighthouse located adjacent to Montauk Point State Park in the easternmost point of Long Island in Montauk, New York. And the architect was John McComb. And I added my own information because I visited and I realized that George Washington had actually uh, commissioned the lighthouse. So it's rather old, rather historic. It's really cool. And on the left-hand side, if your photo has, say, a picture of a book, the cover of a book, you'll get a link to Amazon where you can buy that book. It identifies paintings in a photo. It can identify landmarks, plants and flowers, and also pet breeds, food, and signs and symbols, which I haven't tried. But certainly you're welcome to try all of this on your own photos. Now, the beauty of Apple is that they really want to preserve your privacy. So they don't send these images to the cloud for the analysis. It's actually done on your devices. And that's pretty cool. So I guess we need a humorous break. So this would be a good time. I have some albums I want to show you that may make you laugh. But if there are any questions thus far, maybe now is a good time to talk about them. Any questions from the audience?
Ken Nellis, go ahead.
I just want to comment that a lot of the features, the Apple Intelligence, won't work on older Macs like mine. So I just thought if people are wondering why they don't see these features, I just thought that might be worth commenting on.
I didn't know about that. That's interesting. I suggest you upgrade your Mac.
Yeah, it's an expensive
I'm willing to
proposition
spend
just
your
to get
money.
the, yeah. So
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
Intel,
but
yeah.
I think a lot of people are buying new iPhones also because of the Apple Intelligence. But Apple has to release more features if they really want people to buy the new phones. Any other questions?
Well, Larry, one thing I wondered about is do you um, keep RAW on your iPhone all the time, or just when you think you might want to have more data in the picture?
Um, I the problem is that I would like to shoot everything in RAW, but it does take more space.
Right.
So it depends on the kind of photograph you're doing. If you're doing a landscape and you really want the best quality, you can shoot in RAW or ProRes. Um, there are a lot of features. I was thinking that in this talk, we're not even talking about how to use the camera. So that might be another talk that we might do to just take advantage of all the features in uh, the new cameras that are coming out on Apple devices. So I try to shoot RAW as much as possible, and on my other DSLRs, I always shoot in RAW. And Apple has this new uh, way to shoot called HEIF, I believe, and it's better than JPEG. So a lot of cameras are moving over to HEIF as well. That's something I need to learn more about.
Thanks, Larry. Anything else, folks, before Larry goes on?
Well, I thought I'd give you a blast from the past. So I have two albums. This has 20 slides. This is when we were still, um, let me see if I can, when we were still holding meetings at George Mason before the pandemic. So I think these were taken 2013 and 2015. So they're quite old, but you might recognize yourself here. It's Ken Goldman. Now, I actually used Topaz Photo AI to make him stand out the way he does because I sharpened the image, did a lot to it. So I recommend that if you haven't tried it, you should. It's really cool, especially if you do a lot of scanning of old photographs and put them into your collections. This will really enhance them. There's Jonathan, a younger Jonathan, right?
Yeah. Oh, Neil and Raju.
Yeah. Neil here, Raghu.
Oh,
Some of these people are no longer with us.
no, yeah. Does
Here's
everyone
Mary Dodd.
can I'm sorry, Larry, just to stop for a moment. Kitty
Yeah,
Richardson was such a wonderful, wonderful woman who long when we were meeting at George Mason for our meetings before the pandemic, she would always bring the refreshments. And she did that so nicely and well. And yeah, she passed away about, I think, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago. But
right,
was it was Larry, thanks for bringing up this to let us remember her. I appreciate it.
right. And
Lovely to
I,
see the picture of Dale also.
yes. And this is interesting because uh, you can actually identify people in the photograph. So this is all the people that were in the room at that time. And I'm not going to do it now, but you could, like here, okay. I think if I go into the photograph itself, anyway, but you can actually identify people in the photograph, and it will go into the collection of people you already have, and you can identify them. It goes into your contacts also. And look at this guy. That's Bo, right? Hutchinson.
Yes.
There's Kitty.
Hmm.
And that's when we were still recording. You see this device? That's before we went to YouTube
Yep.
or Zoom. So I have another uh, Pi meeting, May 13th. And well,
There's
I think, is he gone?
Yeah, Brent Malcolm also left
Brent
us.
Malcolm is gone. I don't know these fellows, but there's Alan Kent back there.
Mhm.
There's our fearless leader, Roy,
Yeah.
Cliff.
Mhm.
Is that Bill Woodrow?
Bill Bailey.
Bill Bailey. Well, Bill Bailey is this one. But who's the one in the middle in the yellow shirt?
Oh, could I, Larry?
That's Bill Bailey, and I'm Cliff Bailey.
Bill Bailey and Cliff Bailey. So here's Cliff and here's Bill. Cliff is on the left. Got it.
That's correct.
And here's Lawrence Charters and his wife Kathleen, who passed away like this month,
Yeah.
last month. So I thought I'd give you a blast from the past. And then I'd like to continue
I have a
with
question. I have a question.
yeah, sure.
How do you differentiate a collection from an album?
Well, albums are collections. If you look here, let me show you. Oh, went the wrong way. All of these are collections, but you have control, like media types. If I say I want to look at all my selfies, so here are all the selfies. If I want to look at live photos, it tells me which ones are live photos. Oops. Portraits, all right? Panoramas. So I can see the panoramas. This is Valles Calderas, the second picture. And there were a ring of volcanoes 25 million years ago, about a million years ago, that erupted and created this crater, this caldera. And now it's a state park in New Mexico. But that's enough said. But here's time lapse, slow motion shots,
Have you ever been to
cinematic.
have you ever been to Yellowstone, Larry?
Not yet. It's
It,
on
it
my
has it has an amazing caldera.
well, that would be worth seeing. Here are screenshots that I've taken. So these are built in, and then you have within albums, you can have folders and you can have smart albums. So I will show you, and if you click here, this gives you all of the albums within that folder.
So,
And
so
then like
is your collection a substitute for an album?
no, the collections are built-ins that Apple has deemed to be important in the way that you would peruse your photos library. But the albums are under your control, and you can create albums on the fly. You can drag and drop items into an album.
Larry, isn't it comparable to the Finder, where in the Finder there are folders that Apple set up, and then under it are folders that we set up.
Right. And
So
so within
these collections are what photo does for you.
yeah, the collections and the albums are what you deem to be important, and you can take your photos and create albums
Ah,
that you can
Are you
view.
going to show us how you collect albums, 3 or 4 or 5 albums, and put them into one folder?
Sure, I can do that.
yeah,
Let me do that now.
good.
So let's say I'm going to add a new folder. I'm going to exit full screen, and I want to add a new folder, and I'm going to call it Apple Pie Demo. Now, within Apple Pie Demo, I can create a new album, and I'll call it Bringing Them Together. All right. So what I can do is I can go, let's say I have um, let's say art exhibits. So I want to bring this album there. Do you want to merge these albums? Yeah. So what happened is I moved it here, and this is now the album here. And let's say I want to create a new album. Let me bring this one back. I don't want to ruin it. So you undo and it goes back. So I go to my library. This is so I want to bring this there. You can have photos in different albums. And here I have my album. All right. If I want, if you right click on it, I can make
Does it go both ways? Can you bring collections into an album, but also bring albums into a collection?
Oh, I think, did Larry lose his share?
I'm afraid I lost Larry completely. I don't really know. All I wanted to do was take 3 or 4 albums and put them into one folder, and I don't know how to do that.
Oh, here, we're back.
I'm unmuted. Can you hear me? I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was talking, but I created a folder called Apple Pie Demo, and I brought these pictures into the album. And what you can do, like if I want to just move Apple Pie members here, I can do that. And now I have 3 albums here. And I made this a favorite and you can get info on a particular album. And so I want to name this, let's say, Snowfall in Cold Spring. All right. I took it January 20th, 2025 with an Apple iPhone 16 Pro. I can add a caption about 8 inches. And I can say, add a keyword, Cold Spring, and it's already in my keyword library. So I have Cold Spring, and it shows me on the map. Takes a little while to update where it is. So now you know where I live.
I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
kind of lost. I have about 5 different albums of my grandson at different times in his life, and I'd like to collect all of those
Yes,
into one folder.
right. So what you do is you come up in Photos and you say a new folder, and maybe you give it your friend's name, and then you move all those albums into that folder. Drag and drop them.
So I take each of the album and drag it into this new folder.
Right. So here's a new folder. What's your friend's name?
Benjamin.
All right. So I'm going to rename this folder Benjamin. which happens to be my son's name. And you find the folders. I'll just use these. So I just move these into Benjamin.
Okay, now if I have 5 different albums of Benjamin at different times in his life, can I go to each of those albums and move them one at a time into this folder?
Yes, you may. You can do whatever you like.
Can I
And you
move?
could even rename it if you want to say this is Benjamin when he was a young man, this is middle age, this is when he's older.
Got
So
it.
you have a lot of flexibility. And you
Okay,
can
now
even assign keywords. Yeah,
and where does that folder reside?
it's in your photos. It's right here. Can you see Benjamin here?
Yes,
So I brought 3 of my albums together
got it.
here. All right. And so
Right.
you'll be able to do that.
Okay, thank you.
So it's a good way to organize. Van, you raise your hand. Do you have a question?
I was just going to point out, Larry, that one thing that I learned early on, it was helpful for me, is that this is called albums, but they can be either an album or a folder. And so the thing to think about is that you could establish folders or you could establish albums. Folders can contain
Okay.
pictures or other folders and images, but albums can only contain photos.
That's a good way to put it. But you can probably move folders wherever you like. I haven't tried it. I don't know if it's strictly within albums, but let me create a new folder. And let's see if I can move this. It won't let me move it anywhere except albums. So you're right. That's a good way to put it. So you could drag documents, like you could have documents like here. Let's see. Like here are all my raw pictures. So I could take some raw pictures and put them into a folder. I lost the folder wherever it was. Anyway, but that's a good point. Thank you. Alan, you have your hand up?
No, no.
The other Alan. Yeah,
Alan Kent.
if I want to put a picture in 2 locations, a folder by Joe Smith and another folder by location, can I do it the old way where we had aliases, or is there some new way of doing that without stretching my storage too much?
I think it creates the aliases for you. It's all virtual. So you can drag a photo into 2 different albums and it shouldn't make any difference. Try
Okay.
it on your system.
It's still one
That's the
photo.
beauty of this. Everybody has the Photos app.
It's still
still
one
one
photo when you do that.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
How about Andrew?
Yes, not to confuse the issue, but as we talk about generating these various folders and albums, isn't it fair to say that you're not adding photos, you're adding links from a library of photos, and so there's a single photo in your library, and you then capture the links from that library and put them into your albums so that you're not expanding the size of your library as much as you're
That's correct.
links.
That's correct. Thank you very much for that clarification.
And can I
Diana,
just a minute, please, Larry. Can I just ask everyone to keep yourselves mute until you've raised your hand and are recognized? Thanks. Yeah, go ahead, Diana.
Yeah, the thing that I find frustrating is that everything seems that I'm taking seems to go into the folder called Recents. And nothing ever goes away from that. And even if I try to do some organizing and say take all the videos of my granddaughter's basketball games and put them in her folder, they're still in the Recents because it is a link system, not moving the physical stuff. And consequently, this Recents thing grows and grows and grows, and I cannot reduce it. And it seems to overlap the library view. So that
Right.
I get that they're pretty much the same. Everything's in the library and everything's in Recents. And no matter what I do, I can't reduce the size of what I'm looking at on the screen into a more compact view.
What I would do is just go to the library, or you could use the media types if you want videos. Go into the media types and get the videos there, and then the ones of your granddaughter, just grab those and put them into an album.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter if you're in recently, I wouldn't worry about the recently imported.
It's just, I don't, I guess
Diane,
I'm just griping for the sake of griping because, it's not a major handicap. I just don't know why it works that way. So
Diana,
never actually, I've got stuff in that Recents thing that goes back to 2012. Obviously, they're not really recent.
Diana, I think, and somebody else can confirm this, that I think the recently saved is like the recent in the Finder. It's a search. It's not the photos. It's just a search of all the
Right.
photos. So
Yeah,
It's a
but
smart
that's what
album.
comes up on the screen is the
so my
photos come
suggestion
up.
is don't pay attention to the recently saved thing. Okay.
Right.
All
We
right.
have a lot of questions.
Let's go to Alan and then Jerry and then Mike Emery. Alan, go ahead.
Okay, let me summarize what I think I understand about albums and folders. Albums, as I understand it, are collections of pictures, and folders are collections of albums. Is that the right interpretation? In other words, the folder is the higher collection, and the folder collection a bunch of albums, and is the albums that actually contain the pictures. Is that a correct relationship between albums and folders?
I think that's a good way of putting it. But Van showed us that you can have a folder without an album, that you can just drop documents in, whatever you want. It doesn't have to necessarily be an album. So folders are more general than albums.
Got it.
But I think for what you want to do, I think your interpretation is good.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Alan. Next, Jerry, go ahead.
You're muted, Jerry.
Okay, how about now?
Good.
Good.
Now go ahead.
Okay, let me change ever so slightly. I understand what's going on so far and folders and the information and where you took the picture and everything, but let's say I want to share just a couple of pictures, not an album. I don't want to put it in iCloud or anything like that, but I want to share a picture with someone. Is there a simple way within the Photos app to put a little caption on the bottom of a picture saying who it was and where it was taken, for example?
You can do that in the info box, and I'll talk about sharing later on. So if you'll bear with me, maybe your
I
question will be
understand that
answered.
it's going to be in the info and I can look at the info, but I was just wondering if I took a picture, for example, and I want to send it to someone individually, is there a way for me to put a caption on the bottom of the picture and then identifying the individual and maybe the year or something like that?
I would what I would do is go to your media library, your photos library, and click on the photo, do the get info, and annotate whatever you want, like a caption within that photo, and then share it with that person, and they will see that. All right. Or they should see it if they do the get info.
Yeah, no, I
But
understand. What I've
yeah.
done before is to take a picture, for example, and to put it into preview and then just add a caption on the bottom. And that's what I like to do sometimes when I send a picture to someone and not have them have to look at the information. They may not be able to, within their system, do that. So I like the information right on the front of the picture on the bottom. And there's no way to do that within the app itself, I expect.
I'd have to look into it. All right.
Okay.
I don't know right now. Perhaps someone else has done it. So,
Okay.
and
Thanks.
Well,
Alan,
yeah, there's a difference in the get info window between the caption and title, or now I can't remember the and one of them appears on the file name, and the other one appears on the picture under the picture, not on the face of the picture, but under it.
so that
But
would
I
be the
can't
caption.
remember right now which one is which.
Yeah, maybe what I would say is why not have, I forgot the person's name who asked the question, but why not try it? Take a picture, use the get info box, and then send it to yourself and see what you get. That way you'll be able to see it.
Okay, thanks. I'll give it a shot.
All right. All right. Jean has her hand up.
I'm back in lazy mode, and if I want to quickly send a picture which is sitting in library, I can type in the name of the person right on that picture in that space under the picture, and it works.
Okay, good point.
Mm.
Cheryl?
Yeah, I'm interested in, I don't know if this is a good topic, but I'm interested how photos accumulates all these duplicates. And then I'm worried because then I start deleting them all. I mean, all is like, like 1%. And then I
I'm
think,
going
oh
to
my
talk
God,
about that.
maybe,
Cheryl, I'm going to talk about that.
oh, okay. Great.
So if you'll hold off. So
Okay.
I'm not going to entertain any questions right now, except maybe Van. He has his hand up. All
No,
right. I guess
Larry,
that's not a
Larry,
problem.
why don't you go ahead?
All right. So that break took us a long time. Here we have editing a photo. All right. And I tried to get a colorful shot. So I took this picture myself at the Ralph Lauren shop in East Hampton. I love East Hampton. It's one of my favorite spots. I thought it was kind of snotty at first, but now I'm actually I like it quite a bit. But anyway, that's kind of where I took it. So on the Mac, and I presume the interface on the iPad is about the same. So you can adjust a photo, you can choose a style, you can crop the photo, you can clean it up. If there's something that you don't want in the photo, there's a way for you to get rid of it. You can get information on the photo, you can make it a favorite, you can rotate it, and you can auto enhance. And many times, auto enhance is just as good as a start by tweaking it. Now, let me get out of this for a second. So here's what it looks like. And suppose I take a photo here in my library. Let's take this one. All right. And I want to edit it. So when I edit it, it goes dark, which is that kind of interesting. And so I can just move this around And you see how it's changing using this slider. That's a style. Let me move this down. So I have various variants here. And then if I want to adjust, so here's the adjustments. And if I press auto, it adjusts the photo for me. Here are the styles. Here's the crop. So let me not crop it, but let me do a cleanup. So I want to clean up. So I want to get rid of this. I don't know if you can see it on your screens. You should be able to. So let's see what happens here.
Yeah, we can
It's
see that.
gone.
See that? That's
Yeah. And here I say I want to clean up. I want to get rid of this. Gone.
Wow,
Then
that's
I
pretty.
can, pretty nice, huh? And then I
Yeah.
can just crop it. And with a crop, you can straighten, you can flip. Let's say I want to do a free form. So then I can maybe move this one up by itself, move this one down, kind of rotate it a little bit. Let's grab it here.
How did you rotate it, Larry?
Uh, Let me go back to crop. I think you,
Use the straighten tool.
Oh, okay.
Sorry
so
for
that didn't straighten it very much, did it? But
Larry, I think Ken Nellis might have a question. Ken, is this on what Larry's showing now?
It's directly related to this edit mode and the previous person's question. I thought I'd tie it all together
okay,
while he's on that screen.
okay.
If you click the three dots there to the left of the done button, the three dots to the left of the done button, between the heart and the, I'm pointing to it, but you can't see my flare. Yeah, click that.
I see it.
And then markup. And then you can annotate the picture like the individual wanted to do. You can then add text or stuff to annotate.
So this is preview markup that's now in Apple Photos on the Mac. Wow.
So now I can mark it up.
Yeah. So I just
That's pretty neat.
I'd throw that out there.
You could point a red arrow at the cookies, Larry.
Let me see what I can do here. I'm not doing a very good job at arrows, but it's interesting. I can change the,
Make it
anyway.
make it red.
I don't know how to do that right now, but have at it. This is really cool.
Mhm.
All right. Ken, you have your hand raised. Did you just give this comment?
I forgot to lower it. Okay.
Okay. And then you can save the changes and you're done. So you can do like color automatic. So it changes the color. You can make the photo black and white.
Ooh.
That's not. Now, let me give you an idea. Undo automatic. That this was taken, this is called a Marocchino. So this is espresso coffee with a dollop of chocolate. And if you've never had it, you should, because it's great.
Larry,
Right?
is that at your coffee shop where you sometimes connect to our meetings?
No, it's at Magazzino, which is about 3 miles from my house. And it's an art exhibit. The reason they call it Magazzino is because it's a converted warehouse. So in an Italian, Magazzino is a warehouse. but they opened another wing with a cafe. And so on the weekends, like Friday through Monday, they have Italian food, and the Marocchino is what I get at the end of a meal.
It just looks
So
so
let
elegant.
me, it is, it's really good too. Forget
Alan,
about elegant.
do you have an editing question for Larry?
Yes.
I'm here.
Okay. I think if you don't like what you did, you can't go back one or two or three or four modifications back. You can only go back to the original. Now, in Pages, you got different versions you can get, but can you go back to different versions of a photo, or do you stuck with what you got, or the original with nothing in between?
Well, it depends. If you save the photo, then all of the changes are saved with it. But before you save it, before you say done, you can go and do undo, and it will, I don't know how many undos it will handle. I haven't tried it, but that's something you could try on your own and then report back to us.
Okay, but if I saved it, there's no way to get back to an intermediate version. I can only go back to the original or be stuck with what I got. There's no way to go to an intermediate version.
If you save what you've done, if you press done, you don't go back to the original version at all.
Yeah,
What
but
happens is, all right, but uh, if you if you don't if you don't press the done button, you can then undo. Or what you
I
could
understand.
do is make a duplicate photo, make a duplicate and edit that, and then you have the original plus the edited photo.
Okay, but what
That's something you can do when you right click on a.
I'm trying to get back to the question. I pressed done, and therefore it saved the recently edited one. But now, if I want to go back, I press done. I don't want to do undo. I press done, and then I want to go back and I want to fish out a version of it that was like 4 or 5 versions earlier than the present one, rather than go back to the original. Can I go back to a version that is like in Pages? You can go back to a variety of different versions of a Pages document. Can you go back to a variety of different versions of a
Alan?
photo document?
Alan, let me interrupt. I think if we asked Aaron this, he would put the link in the chat for apple.com/feedback. Okay?
Okay.
Right. And Alan, I just haven't tried it. You might try it. One thing you might do is use, if you have time machine backups, you could restore a photo via time machine and then
Got it.
edit, then you would compare. So I think there are various ways to handle these versions. So I'm going
Okay.
to go on.
Let's quickly go on to Ron Shansby. Do you have a question for Larry about editing as
I
opposed
have a statement. When I'm editing photos, I don't worry about canceling out the original. What I do with each edit that I want to save, I will save it under a slightly different name.
I think, Larry, isn't it the case that when you edit a photo, it prompts you whether to save it as a new photo or write over the old one?
Um,
Or am I making that
Try
up?
it out. Try it out and report back to us.
Okay.
I'd like to move on.
Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So here's what the editing looks like on the iPad. So you have the left-hand side and the right-hand side. And because it is an iPad and it's tactile, you can do this kind of editing. The layout may be different, but it's basically doing the same things. All right. Now here's how you can organize an item. So maybe this will explain a lot of things that are going on. This is an image taken by my partner, Ronnie Sowers, and it shows I'm pointing to the Starlink Mini. and I have a portable charger there. And that's all you need to get the Mini started. And so I named this photo Starlink Mini. It was taken on December 29th by an iPhone 15 Pro. And I put in a comment, all you need is a bit of portable juice. And I added Starlink Mini as a keyword, and Photos found a picture of me. It recognized who I was. So I'm there. It showed where the picture was taken, and at the bottom it shows shared with you by Ronnie Sowers in messages. So, if you send something by email, it'll say shared by you via email. So you can favorite it with a heart, and there's also one of those icons above my head to the right in the trees, and so it recognized those as maple trees. So in the photo, but I didn't pursue it in the talk. So you can make it a favorite. You can add keywords on a Mac. They sync to iCloud and can be seen on iOS devices. So you can't assign keywords on iOS devices, at least not yet. The map shows where the image was taken, and it says who shared it with you. So I think that gives you an idea of what you can do with the Get Info panel in Photos. So you can organize your photos into albums within folders. So you can use folders to help organize a folder. You can add albums according to an event, place, or whatever criteria you feel is important. You can add photos to albums by dropping them into the album's name in the sidebar. So in this picture, I have my New York City folder, and I have, it says there are 6 albums there, and here they are. Whitney Museum, Chinese Exhibit, Plains Indian, MoMA, Tall Building, Central Park, Clyde's Pharmacy. And items in an album may be sorted by title or by date, with the older photos on top and newer photos at the bottom, or vice versa. So you have various ways you can sort photos within an album, which I think is pretty cool. So I like folders because I use it quite extensively. Now here's where I think things get really interesting. You can define a smart album on a Mac. Smart albums are a way for you to organize photos into albums based on criteria you define. So an album containing flowers, or an album of your favorite person or pet. So this is my favorite grand dog, Bodhi, who recently passed away. And I'll show you how to do that. You can also do a search for photos and use that criteria to say, okay, this is important to me. It's a smart album. And what happens is smart albums automatically update their items. So if I take another picture of this pet, it will automatically get incorporated into my smart album. All right. So that's very interesting. So let me show you the criteria that you can use to create an album. So what I've done is I've taken the panel, if you look on the right-hand side of the slide, of all options smart album. So this has, I match any of the following conditions. The photo is a panorama. If any of these conditions, and these are all the conditions you can specify in a smart album, I get 31,794 matches. That's pretty interesting, but most of us aren't going to do something like this. And in the drop-down menu, it's either match any or match all of the following conditions. So I'll show you how to do these smart albums. So items in you can add items in a specific non-smart album, the date the image was taken or added, description, text you entered, people and pets detected in the image, the name of the original file, you can use that, keywords assigned to the image, whether it's a favorite, has been edited, or contains location data. You can also search by file type, image, movie, raw, selfie, etc. Camera model. Some of us take photos besides the iPhone. That's included. And the lens used and its properties like the aperture, focal length, etc. So you have tremendous flexibility here. So let me show you in my albums. I have the All Options Smart Album. And if I edit this, it shows that I used all of these, the same thing as I had in my photo. Let me go back one. So this panel is the same as this panel. All right. Now, suppose I want to edit this. And so I want to say keyword is, and here is the list of keywords. So let's say bikes. And I'm going to get rid of all of these. Oh, sorry. I'm going to add, well, instead of doing that, let me just show you how I got this one, my favorite grand dog. So I have person or pet includes Bodhi, and Bodhi is a name. So if I say Dante, he's there, you see? So I can change. I have 80 matches. And there he is. All right. So you could say, suppose if we look here in our favorites. So we have a whole bunch of favorites. So if I do a smart album where I want to look at my favorites and I want pictures of Hudson Yards, like this is the at Hudson Yards. So let's see if I can do that. Well, there are different ways I can do it. I can say favorites, Hudson Yards. And so it picked up two from Hudson Yards. That one and that one. Now I could say, based on this favorites, and I'm filtering here, let's say by favorites or by photos, and that gets me that. And I can do the same thing by adding a new smart album. And let's call it favorites in Hudson Yards. So photo is a favorite. That gives me 483 matches. And I'm going to add 0 items matched. It's not, I'm wondering why I can't get location. It only, anyway. But you get the idea of how you can do these smart albums. So these favorites are smart albums. Suppose I go in my library and I decide I want to favorite this one. Here I am. Ah, with my favorite Marroquino. So it constantly does a search, as Jonathan said, it constantly does a search to for these smart albums. All right.
Oh, Larry, if I can interrupt now,
Sure.
Jane had asked before, what's a pin collection versus a regular collection? Sorry, is that not where you're going, or?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Could you repeat that?
Oh,
I was not able to hear that.
Let's talk about
Could
this
you repeat that, please?
when you're back at the collection, Larry.
Okay. So there was a question about duplicates. So photos, if you look under utilities, there's the duplicates. And what photos, it detects the duplicates and offers choices such as merging images or deleting them. Photos keeps the image with the best quality or resolution. The deleted images are moved to the recently deleted album, and for a month you can retrieve them. So here I have a raw photo as compared with one that's 9.8 megabytes. So the raw photo is 45 megabytes. So if I wanted to merge those two items, it would keep the raw photo. In the second case of the Indian playing the flute sculpture, I have one which is 6.4 megabytes and the other one which is 3.6 megabytes. So if I were to merge those two, it would keep the 6.4 megabytes because that's of a higher quality. So you can go in and find all the duplicates very easily in your photo library and then begin the process of merging them or deleting, whatever you do. But you don't have to delete. This way it suggests that you merge. Sometimes you'll find 3, maybe 4, or even 5 photographs in your library which are duplicates. And then it will automatically save the best one when you merge them. Okay. If I go into my library, under utilities, so I have these duplicates. So this one is 8.2 megabytes. This one is 211 kilobytes. So if I merge the two items, it asks me, do I want to merge? Then it disappears because it's not a duplicate anymore. Here's another one, 38 megabytes. These are the same. They're videos, so I can merge the two exact ones. And you can go on and on. So here are all my duplicates. Here's one that has 3. So these are, I can merge these 3 items. Gone. These are the same. I can merge them. And this is good when you have nothing else to do and you're snowed in. You can begin deleting duplicates and You spend a few hours doing that. But it's a very handy
Whole
feature.
bunch at once.
Pardon me?
Do a whole group of them at one time. Select them.
I haven't tried that. I would rather just do them one at a time, make sure that they're taken care of. We could try it. You could try it on your group and see what happens. All right. Now you can search your library, which is really cool. You can search by image content, like all photos with dogs, which is the example I have up here. I put in a search term dogs, and I get a number of albums, 11 collections, top results, and then 80 results, all the items. You can do it by date, like all photos taken in 2024. You can search for text within photographs. That might be handy, like in your receipts, right? Also, Apple assigns categories like landmarks. So what I did here was I said lighthouse, Montauk, building. And these are all the photos at the bottom that satisfy that search. So you have a very powerful way to search through your items. I showed how to view photos on the map. It shows where the photos was taken. You can search by place. You can drill down on the location to get a finer view, because I showed how that, like I have 2,000 photographs in New Mexico, and if I drill down, it would show me where I took the various photographs. Photos sent to you by others will also show up on the map. I gave the example of my friend Danny Minash, who is in Turks and Caicos. You can search for a specific location, and you can also use Spotlight to search your photographs. And I wanted to note on the map, Apple Maps has already changed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. All right.
Joining.
Something please raise your hand if you want to speak. Thank you. You can also import files into Photos. On the Mac, you can drag and drop photos from your file system right into the Photos app. You can also import images from a standalone camera into Photos if they reside in a folder or on an external drive. You can use iCloud Photos, then everything imported syncs with iCloud across all your devices. All right. So I highly recommend that you use iCloud Photos. And I'm going to show you the options for syncing with iCloud Photos, something I didn't know, but you can configure your iCloud Photo settings by going to Settings in General. So here I am, the top panel shows the general. Within that panel, you can choose both iCloud and shared library. And you may have multiple libraries of photos, but only the master library will be synced. Alan raised his hand. What is your question?
I ask this every time, and I keep hoping a recent version of iOS will update it. But can you yet be able to copy one image and embed it in another? I never figured out how to do that in Photos. Have they made that possible now?
That is beyond my pay grade. I just don't know. I haven't tried it. But please be my guest. I will show a way that you can do it, but it's within Pixelmator Pro.
Oh yeah,
which Apple
can do it in
now
software. But I just wondered whether you could do it in Photo. I don't think so.
No.
I couldn't figure out how to do it.
All right. Thank you very much. Please lower your hand. So what's interesting here is you can show where your master library is. You can show it in the Finder. You can use a privacy password, autoplay videos and live photos. you can check these or not, or uncheck them. And the memories have mine in landscape mode, 16 by 9. But in iCloud, if you look down at the second panel down below, where you have iCloud, you check off iCloud photos. And I originally had optimized max storage, which means that the operating system will maximize the storage so that your photo library doesn't, if you have a large library, it doesn't take up all of the space if you don't have a lot of space on your Mac or on one of your iOS devices. But if you want to make sure that your originals are on a Mac, you would then choose to download originals to this Mac. And I didn't realize it, but I was allowing the Mac to optimize storage. My originals were not even on my Mac. So I now have the originals, and I can, if I back them up, I have backed up all my originals. All right. And finally, the shared, Jonathan, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, just on the topic you just mentioned, do you keep your photos library on an internal hard drive or on an external hard drive? Because the photos library documents get so big.
Right. Well, I have plenty of space on my laptop, but it's easy to move. It's easy to move it to an external drive. And I keep my Lightroom photos on an external drive, which is connected. You probably see it on my desktop. Maybe not. Anyway, but you can move it if you want.
Okay.
But then you have to connect up that external drive. And if you have a laptop, you may not want to take that external drive with you. And then in the shared library, it shows the people who are participating in the shared library. And I have myself and Ronnie Sowers, my partner. She's been invited, but she hasn't accepted my invitation yet. So I think she's still waiting on that. And you can add people to the library. So it's a very nice way to do it. And what you have here is your personal library, and you can choose shared library or both libraries. And another thing you can do, which is really cool, is you can change the format. So this shows you the aspect ratio of your photos. But if you come up here and you say, I want them to all be square, you have that. All right. I think that's pretty neat. And Ken has raised his hand. What's going on, Ken?
Yeah, I was wondering, who can you share with? Do they have to have an Apple ID? Is there a way to share with other people outside of the Apple environment?
I don't know.
Okay, good enough.
But you might try it. I think if they're in your contacts, you should be able to share with them, because it'll pick up the phone number, or it'll pick up, and it knows when you see a blue phone number, you know that they have iOS. If they don't, if it comes up green, you know it's not iOS. But if you only have the email address, maybe they'll get an invitation through the email to you're inviting them to your shared folder. I would give it a try and
Okay, very
report
good.
back to us.
Thank you.
All right. So I thought that was very interesting. And so definitely use iCloud Photos if you want to sync across all of your devices. And how do you share your photos? Well, you can transfer your stuff directly via drag and drop. And you can see that I'm sharing this folder with a number of people who have accepted it and some who haven't. My son is a question mark. So Subscribers can post. So this is a good way of sharing. If you have a shared library or a shared album, people can add to that album. They can comment on photos. It's a nice way to invite people to participate in your album. So you can share via other apps when you want to share a photo, let's say, or even an album. It'll say, do you want to go by email? Do you want to go to Dropbox? You know, the various ways you can share. You can also share using AirDrop. If someone is close to you, you can just share photos that you've taken with someone else through AirDrop or iCloud photo sharing, right? You can export and resize images. You can save photos into your library from the Messages app. So this is one that I took from the book about taking control of photos. So you see down below that has been there. Someone sent a heart, and Michael, I guess, is the one who sent it. It says family portrait, and then you have, excuse me, a little download link to the right-hand side. And if you click on that, that photo will become part of your library. So you can be exchanging photos, say, in Messages, and some of the photos you really like, you click on that link and it puts them into your library. And then, of course, you can favorite it and it will become one of your favorites. It's a nice way of, because I think everyone shares photos. Now, I'm going to talk about Photomator. Rich, what's up?
How do you stop sharing? You know, I just looked, I have many old shared albums. How do I stop those?
Let me see. You can delete the shared album. I guess what you might do is uninvite the people. I'm not sure exactly, but
if I
once
delete
again,
if I delete the shared album, what happens to the pictures?
give it a try. I'm not going to do it right now, but that's the beauty of this talk. You have your own Photos app that you can use to try it. So I would do one, maybe create an album, a duplicate album, and then stop sharing, maybe delete the one that's a shared album and see what happens. If it stays in place, it should stay in place.
Got it.
Because, yeah, give it a try.
Larry,
So let me talk. Yeah.
I'm sorry, from the screen that you were on, I was just wondering whether you could toggle from the people. And does it give you an uninvite or?
I don't know. I haven't tried it. If you delete the shared album, probably a message will go to them saying that the album is no longer shared. Now, they may have it on their device. I don't know. We could try it. Let me get out of this. So it's Shihuli. Let me search for Shihuli. Let's say I want to. Do you remember which one it is? It's C. So here's the sharing button. Shared albums. So these are the ones that are currently being shared. Shihuli Interior. Uh, 26 slides.
Is it from the little from the information screen that
This one has 13.
existing setting is for that? No.
Help me out, Dan.
Dan, go ahead.
I'm not sure what screen you're on, but the sharing comes in when there's a little person icon that appears in the top bar whenever you have it set. Select the album on where are your shared albums? I can't see them.
Okay, let me see. I think they're at the bottom. So here are all that I've shared. All right.
Okay, select.
So here's
just
the
select.
person you mentioned.
Well, just select one of them. There you go. Now, that's a shared album. Look at the little
All right.
person. There's a little person icon in the top bar there to the right of the eye. If you click that, it shows you
Correct.
the
That's what I clicked on.
details, yeah, about the subscription. And if it depends, what you see depends on whether you're a participant or whether you're the owner of the shared album.
Right. So I
So you're
can,
the
let's see if I can delete.
Yeah, you can remove somebody by, I think, by clicking the little triangle to the right of their name, and then you can remove them. There you go.
Right. Yeah. I right clicked. I can remove the subscriber. So these people are subscribers. I can delete the shared album, but it will not be in my shared album anymore, but I don't think it's going to change my
No, it would, it would,
Shihuli
it wouldn't,
Interior, the album.
it wouldn't
But
eliminate, it would not eliminate, should not eliminate the pictures. It just deletes the shared album.
right. So let me delete it. Here we go. The shared album will be moved from all of your devices and your subscribers' devices. Okay. And then let's see if I still have. I'm sorry. So here's the interior. So my original album still is available. And I actually added, when I shared the album, I actually added other images to it. So it works. So your original album will not be deleted. So I wanted to talk to you about Photomator and Pixelmator Pro, which are Apple purchased the rights, purchased the company, I guess, or these two programs for $100 million. So Photomator's interface is similar to the Photos interface. And what you can do, in addition, Photomator can access images located in the Mac file system on external drives without necessarily incorporating them into the Photos app itself, which is really good. And it has its own editing, which uses one-touch machine learning, which I'll show you, which does a great job on the edits. And my conjecture is that Apple will challenge Adobe's Lightroom Classic for the more professional photographer. So the beauty, I think, of the Photos app is that it appeals to consumers. And remember, we have 1 billion or more iPhones and other iOS devices, including Macs, out there. So Apple has to create applications that appeal to the masses. And I think the Photos app really does it. And we're learning all the features that we can do with it. And then, so I think they might challenge. Now, they tried that before with Aperture, and then they stopped supporting Aperture. And I remember using Aperture, and maybe some others in the audience did as well. And after that, we moved over to Adobe Lightroom. Pixelmator Pro is the other app, a very popular app for photo editing. And I'm sure some of its features will make their way into the Photos app. So let me give you a demo. So here I have the Photomator app. And it's not as capable. It shows you all the photos, recent photos, favorites. You can make these smaller, those that I've edited, right? And it shows me the media types, the same as the in the utilities and shared albums. And here are my albums. It says my internet connection is unstable. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So let me show you. That's the beauty of the Photos interface. But here I can also go to Files. And I can then add folders like I shoot with a Hasselblad. So I have DNG folder, focus stacking, previews, etc. And that's on my external drive. HDR merge. So it shows me HDR photos. And it says I've flagged 3 of them. I've rejected none. It's pretty early. Here I have 5 stars for a number of them. So suppose I want to edit this photo. So I come up here, and here are all my edits I can do: the temperature, basic exposure, hue and saturation, selective color. I can use the color balance, 3-color wheel. I can add a vignette. I can make it black and white. So what I'm going to do is just use machine learning here. And so I don't know if it changed it. Here's the basic one. There's some changes. You can see some of the changes that are going on. And let's see, I like to add vignette. Let's see. So I'll cut this back a little bit. So it's a little blacker. It's a way to focus attention on the subject. And I'm done. And it shows that I've edited it. I can flag it. So now it's in my flag collection. It's in my no imports. Let me give it it's got 4 stars. So it's in my 4-star folder. All right. So the beauty is that you have a nice way to edit both your photos and your files. And because you may not necessarily want to incorporate all of the photos residing on your file system into Photos itself. So I think that's rather interesting. We'll see what happens. I haven't played around with Pixelmator Pro very much, so I can't really tell you very much about it.
With
So to
Photomator,
conclude,
with
pardon me?
with Photomator, Larry, could you do what Alan was asking of
I
embedding a picture in a picture?
Well, what I would do is create two layers, and I would have each picture in one of the layers, and then show both layers, and I guess you could then merge them together. But
Is
I
that
haven't done it, so it's something that I'd rather not do in this demo because I just haven't tried it. But
um, let me just suggest, Alan, that in a future meeting, we'll concentrate on this particular thing with either Pixelmator Pro or Photomator to show you how you can do what you wanted to do, but can't do with the Photos app. All right, let's go to Ken.
Okay, thank you very much. I would appreciate that.
You're
Uh,
welcome. You're welcome.
I mentioned in the last Clubhouse meeting that you can do exactly that with Preview. You can copy pictures, paste them over top of other pictures, all within Preview. It's pretty simple to do, and you don't need to download another app to do that.
Oh, okay, I'll try that in Preview, and then once it's done in Preview, I can then add it to my photos, right?
If you want, sure.
so in conclusion, I would say that Apple's photo app, the Photos app, has grown up to be a wonderful way to organize and view your items. And I don't use photos, I use items because they may be photos, documents, receipts, just about anything else in your file system that you want to throw into Photos. It will organize it. And then photos and albums can help to organize your photo collections. There are also built-in collections to quickly access your photos. You have Apple has provided powerful search categories to help you find items. And smart albums can be created by search or by selection criteria. And the best, my parting remark is that the best way to learn the Photos app is by using its capabilities. And I'm hoping that this presentation has motivated you to have another look at Photos because it is a very powerful piece of software. I congratulate the Apple engineers for creating it for us and making it user-friendly. I will entertain any questions you may have.
Yeah, why don't we stop your share now, Larry?
Oh, wait, I have one more thing.
Oh, okay.
One more thing, all right?
One more thing.
And these are the resources I used. Take Control of Photos by Jason Snell. MacMost, Navigating Photos in iOS 18. And some other videos that I thought were interesting, like the Photomator Masterclass.
Okay. It's
So
about
far,
the
there are 3 parts. I only added part 1, but you can look at his channel and subscribe to it. It's really good. He seems to be all over Photomator. And I will stop sharing right now. Ken, you had a question?
And then we'll go to Diane Mark.
Yeah, I don't, there's probably no answer to this, but I just want to point out before they had the people and pets collection, they just had the people collection. And I had some pets category identified under that. And then when they came out with people and pets, I created some more pet photos that went under that. So I have the same pet under that thinks it's a people as in the pets. I can't merge them. I don't know whether that's anything you ever looked at, but so I have a particular pet who's under the people category, and another pet, the same pet that's under the pet category.
Well, is that pet category something that you defined yourself?
No. When you No, it used to just be people, and then they added support for pets, which is somehow different. And but I can't get my cat pictures that are under the people group into merge. I can't merge them with the same cat pictures, not the same pictures, but the same cat picture of the same cat under the pets grouping.
Why don't you create an album and just drag them all into that album if the pet is a pet that you really like? And then
And
that's
if I
done.
don't like them. Okay, kidding.
Let's go to Diane Marcus.
My question is about receipts. So Larry, you take a photo of the receipt from the ABC grocery store? Is that the kind of receipts you're referring to?
Whatever you want. Yeah, take a photo. I do screenshots when I want to send something to a friend. I'll take a photo of a receipt, and it will automatically characterize it as a receipt for you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Well, before we go to Mike Goldstein, I just wanted to announce that Mike Emery, you are the winner of today's door prize for the Pies General Meeting. So congratulations. And would you like an AirTag or a $25 Apple gift card? And it looks like Mike is happy.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. First time winning. I'll take the gift card if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah. So we'll probably send you a virtual gift card, and we may wait until Roy Wagner is back because he's usually the one that takes care of this. But anyway, congratulations, Mike.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
Okay, Michael Goldstein, go ahead.
I noticed in the smart album selection criteria that location was conspicuously absent. Is that because you can't create a smart album just based on location?
You can search for it, and I guess you can take the results of the search, grab the photos that are, say, at a particular location, and then create an album with those photos.
Right.
Or you can use the map. You can use the map, and that tells you where the photo was taken.
I can find the location photos by doing the search, but I want a smart album so that when I visit New York again, all those photos will go into the smart album.
Right. Let me see. I'm doing a new smart album. It says date captured, date added. I don't see a location, so you can't use a smart album for location. But there is a smart album available to you already in the maps view. So go to the map and drill down, and you'll find all the photos taken at a certain location.
Thanks,
I
Larry.
heard it also, it was an advertisement for Apple AI that they were going to go through, or they had the capability to go through your photo album and create albums like based on location for you. Is that capability exist, or is it coming?
I can't speak for Apple. I haven't seen
You
it
can't.
yet. No, I only, not even Aaron Davis can speak for Apple. He's very careful about what he says. So until the feature comes out, we don't know it exists. So I would go with the maps view, because that is already a way for you to search pictures by location.
Okay. Well, one more question with that. Like, if I go to Ireland, can I do location by Dublin or by Ireland or by County Cork? Does it know all of those things?
I think so. I think it will. What you can do is try something like that with a photo you know already exists, and see the granularity that you can use. Because Apple Photos, like if you think about Facebook, Facebook is really good at that sort of thing. It knows everything. So I'm sure Apple knows everything as well, but is hiding it from you. So you have to kind of tease it out. But I would try a few searches and see what it comes up with. That's the beauty. You know, what I'm saying is I'm not the only one who is an expert anymore in photos. Because all of you can become experts. Just try it out. If you have a question, see if it works.
Oh,
Let
and
us know.
if I can segue from that, just to remind everyone, that we also have a Pi Photo SIG that George Hogeman leads, and he'll be sending around soon, I think, the date for the March meeting. The February meeting was just, I think, earlier this week or late last week. So if you want more concentration on photos, by all means, join the Pi Photo SIG. Yeah, and Larry, you're a Pi member, but we'll still send you a Pi mug if you would like.
Oh, that would be nice. I don't have a Pi mug.
In appreciation for your presentation today.
Thank you very much. I hope my presentation motivated you to look into photos a bit more and try it out and realize how powerful a piece of software it really is.
Go ahead, Van.
You?
In response to the earlier question, if you just take the pictures on your Apple device, Apple will keep track of these locations, and you can just, as Larry said, you can just drill down. I took some pictures in Florida, I don't know, year and a half ago, and it just had the individual locations as I moved, even places that were 5 miles apart. It had identified as two different locations, and they show up on the map if you just zoom in and you just drill down, drill down, and drill down. So certainly different locations within Ireland or any other country would show up as different locations on the map.
What also impressed me about the Photos app is how fast it is. It doesn't take, there's no lag. You just keep drilling down. It does that drill down very nicely. And I haven't seen it slow down. It's very good.
No, I understand that it drills down all the way, but what I wanted, I might want a smart album of all my Miami pictures and the smart album of all my Florida pictures and a separate album for Fort Lauderdale pictures and maybe, for my kid's house on a special block. So I didn't know if you can track all of that and make smart albums out of all of that.
I wouldn't necessarily make it a smart album because smart albums don't allow you to use location. But what you could do is create a folder, say for Florida. And then within Florida, you have an album for Fort Lauderdale. And so you look for all the photos that were taken in Fort Lauderdale and you bring them into that album. I think that's what I do. And it's a good way to organize your photos using folders and then albums within the folders.
But in that case, you have to.
Alan, just a minute.
Okay.
Alan, just a minute. I wanted at this time to close down the YouTube broadcast. So what we can keep going and we'll go to Van and then Alan, but just to thank our YouTube viewers. So please go on.
Just a quick item because